Hey everyone, I'm Louie,
And I'm Valerie, and this is Musical Tangents.
where we just talk different things about music.
Welcome.
That's where I think it's interesting to me is it right for the songwriters to make money off of something that might not be entirely original?
I don't know. Well, then that also gets into the conversation of sampling music as well.
Yeah, but don't they also pay money to the original creators?
Yeah. So, well, it depends on the situation, but yeah.
I just remember one of the recordings, like in the 90s, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is now going back to the 90s music. Uh, 1990s.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that. For 1990s
Mm-hmm.
music, anytime they had orchestral hit sound,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of like a tape rolling orchestral hit sound, that apparently the most sampled orchestral hit sound comes from, I don't know which recording, but a recording of Stravinsky's Firebird
Mm-hmm.
infernal dance scene. So it's like, right? That's like the orchestral hit sound that a lot of artists apparently used. Now, Stravinsky was still alive when, well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not during the time that was being sampled,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't public domain. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does that,
Mm.
like none of the Stravinsky's families, as well as far as I know, have been paid for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's my point. Is that how far do we take this back? Like how
Mm-hmm.
far can we? Because I remember you talking about this a couple months ago.
Oh, what did I say?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a very reasonable conclusion. But you were talking about artists' music
Mm-hmm.
being copyrighted. Like for those of you who don't know classical music a lot, Prokofiev, who was like a modern composer, some of
Mm-hmm.
his music, like some of his late music, got released into the public domain recently because he passed away in like 1950 something. So some of his last compositions were still in copyright. I don't know who was getting paid
Mm-hmm.
for any of the income that Prokofiev generated from the music, right?
Yeah.
And you said, I don't know how I feel about the for like paying for the dead artists, but like the recently dead
Mm-hmm.
artists' music, and only for me to pay to someone else, not even to the original artist because they are dead. Like they're already dead. They can't collect their income.
Yeah.
And you're essentially paying to other parties who are not involved in the creative process of the copyright fee. That's why I don't know. Like is the lawsuit, for example, let's say theoretically, just in a fantasy world, Marvin Gaye won.
Mm-hmm.
The money doesn't go to Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye has been dead.
Yeah, it goes to his family.
So it either goes to his family or it goes to his label.
Mm-hmm.
His previous label, whoever was involved, whoever signed the contract.
Yeah,
So
and that's where I get I'm much more. I don't know. It gets. I don't know. It's such a gray area because it's well, I'm not really comfortable with the label profiting off of this artist who's passed away, but at the same time, if I don't know. I think I would feel better about it maybe if they took the profits and they put that money into an organization that helped make music more accessible, or I don't know, used it for good rather than just making their pockets bigger.
yeah, but why would they do that when they could make their pockets bigger?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's why I think people get offended or they get upset about
And
plagiarizing.
I
music.
understand when the money from that goes to the family.
Well, I think
But
that's a little more understandable, but
mhm.
not in Marvin Gaye's case. I'll say that. Well, the reason
I
why I say
I
that
don't
is
know much
because,
about this case or his family.
well,
So,
Marvin Gaye, for those of you who don't know, look this up on Wikipedia to fact check me. If I remember correctly, Marvin Gaye's father shot
mhm.
him.
Oh, what the hell?
Like, Marvin Gaye was shot by his father. I think that's how he died. I don't know. Do a fact check for me.
What that sounds a little preposterous. Okay.
Go to his Wikipedia page. Go to
Oh
his
my
death.
god. Marvin Gaye was shot twice following an altercation with his father after he intervened in an argument between his parents.
Yes. So that's
Oh my god.
that's why I don't know how I feel about even the family members getting that money. Like, for example, Michael Jackson. Let's take Michael
Yeah,
Jackson's
or like
case.
some artists whose family like has complete
Has
control over
estranged
them.
or has it estranged the artist completely.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't really know if I'm even comfortable when the artist's families, like, they're getting compensated unless they were really, really close to the artist. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, listen, I personally feel that families matter. I'm not promoting anti-family or anything like that, but like it's kind of ridiculous that you, the creator, like let's say you wrote an essay and you went on to publish that in a famous journal article company. You should be compensated for that. Like, just because you had an influence or help from, let's say that I found a source and I was like, hey, I heard you were writing this article and I send that to you. Do I get that pay cut? No, I don't think I should necessarily. I didn't do anything else other than giving you that one link to an article
Yeah.
that might be helpful when you're writing. So that's my point, is that, like, do people have to get paid for the creation that they have not actively participated in? Like,
Yeah,
that's where it
it's-
gets a little hazy because we talk about who's creative artist, who's a creative artist, and I feel like one of the criteria that they have to meet is, are they writing originals? Are they doing something that's original or considered original? And originality in music is a blurred line at its best.
Yeah.
Because one, you have chord progressions. If it's a Western music, at least. Well, even if it's not Western music, there is a progression, but it's not going to be the same, right? There's a progression. There's a certain melodic line, and there are words. That's like the three basic level, and even then, it's hazy because how do you arrange it? How do you produce it? That all essentially makes the whole music. There are multiple people involved in this.
Yeah.
So what's really original and what's not original becomes much more difficult to say, I think. Like, okay, so if we're talking about classical music, that's why this is very interesting to me. If you listen to a version of Chopin's Nocturne played by one particular pianist and you use that, right? Or better yet, you used it to kind of get an idea of how the music sounds, and you record it because Chopin's music is in public domain, and you put in a lot of work. You try to make it sound like your own, right? Which is, we're going to get into that later. But
Yeah.
you performed it. You poured in all of your hearts and souls, all of your hard work into recording that piece, and you published it to YouTube or something, and you get copy struck because it sounds too similar to
Someone
a
else's
recording
recording.
of the artist that
Yeah.
you heard. Like, that's my point, is that, like, how do they determine?
Then maybe they didn't do well in interpreting it on their own. I don't know.
So it's the performers.
Yeah.
Performers. Okay. So, yeah.
But that I mean that happened to me and Amelia once. We for piano ensemble we have to record our practice sessions, and just to make it the easiest access as possible during class, we privately posted on YouTube for our professor to watch.
You.
They copy struck us,
that.
but with not even like another piano piece, with like an orchestral version of the piece.
Of the piece that you
yeah,
were
and
playing.
it sounded so bad, and I was like, "Dang, this is kind of like we must not be doing well if we're getting copyrighted
you were
with this version."
insulted.
Yeah, I was insulted. I was like, "Their version doesn't sound good. We must need to change things."
I don't know, but that's my point. Is that like I don't know why this is such a hard topic for me personally, because what defines originality in music at this point? And even though we talked about like the vastness of music, like there's so much music out there that we're never going to hear all the music that are available to us out there. So you're telling me that there are all these artists who are coming up with completely original ones. Like, that just doesn't seem intuitive to me.
I don't know.
So I think it's tempting. Like, for example, so let me ask you this. In classical music, there's a thing called theme and variations. So, like, the easiest way to make a composition kind of your own, or you credit yourself in doing this, is if you look up any transcriptions that Liszt made of songs that Schubert wrote, or of based on the themes from Mozart's opera and things like that. He did that for so many pieces. Like that's like one of the areas that he was known for. And then his other compositions. Is that being original, or is that not being original? Right? Because
I don't know if I would call it original. There's still a lot of creativity in the transcriptions.
Exactly.
And they're very difficult.
Yeah. Well, difficult nonetheless. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I feel like what you're kind of blending originality and creativity when they're not the same thing.
Okay. So tell me then. What
God.
No. No, like I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah.
So like what in music defines originality?
I can't come up with a definition for you right now.
But yeah, I think that's the reason why we're having this conversation, is that we're just talking about it, and by the way, this is a disclaimer for all the listeners again. We're not here to give you any solutions to anything.
No, we're just having a fun little chat.
Yeah,
discussing.
and we're just talking.
Yeah,
because I personally don't have any answers.
Yeah, like I don't have an answer to this. It's for the universe to decide.
But like originality is such a touchy subject because a lot of music, like. Have you seen the video of Ed Sheeran pulling out a guitar and he was like, name me a song, I'll give you 4 chords, it's these chords. I can sing any pop songs that's ever been written with these 4 chords. And he does it. And one commenter said in that video, and I resonated with that so hard, so on a deeper level, he's not trying to say, look what I can do. He's telling people, this is how common these chords are. Everyone uses these. It's like alphabet. Like you have only so many combinations of words that you can come up with. At one point, you're going to have to run out of that possibility. And music being basically one of the longest art forms of humanity, have we reached the point where originality no longer can be just purely based on completely new ideas?
I mean, maybe in a world of atonal music.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that part. Atonal music, for those of you who don't know, is a group of classical musicians decided we have no more tonal music that we can write, so we're just going to write.
Yeah.
We're gonna use different scales and different levels of. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know, different levels of something. they create a different sound for sure.
I think there's definitely limitless possibilities. We just, you just have to find them. We just haven't found them yet. And I might not be in our lifetime.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, for me, it's like, I don't want to be afraid to write music.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning, like, I don't want to constantly be in fear of, is this original? Oh my gosh, what if it sounds similar to another piece? Like, I remember having a meltdown almost when my wife heard one of the pieces that I wrote for a violin, for a piano, for a solo violin and a piano. And she heard the violin, or for a piano solo version, because that's how I was writing it. She was like, I think I've heard that somewhere.
Oh, no.
And she couldn't find it. But the thing was, it's I'm not blaming this on her. I'm blaming this to myself, where I had a meltdown, a mental breakdown, literally, because I was like, did I write something that's not original? Am I like not an original artist? Am I not original enough to be a composer? Like, that's almost the level of intensity that brings out if your music is not deemed to be original. I don't know. That's like where I feel it's gotten a little out of hand. Not in a sense that we need to basically open the floodgate of people claiming this is my own, this is my music. I'm not talking about that, but like, artists definitely probably have that conviction almost. So that's one barrier for artists who are trying to be creative. They become hindered if their stuff is not original. I think that's where the conversation becomes even more emotional, because some artists probably feel that, I don't know if I can write original stuff, so I'm not an artist anymore. That's where I think it becomes interesting, because morally speaking, we have talked about morally, yeah, if you claim something that's not your own as your own, yeah, that's morally a little wrong.
Yeah. Because,
But
like,
that becomes too I don't know, fear conjuring for artists.
I guess. I mean, like, going back to the Ed Sheeran case, he was never claiming that this was his chord progression, but that I don't think that necessarily makes the song not original.
That's true. There are other components,
because there's like a stylistic choice as well.
And the song, both songs, are like 3 minutes long. You're telling me that every 3 minutes have, like, I don't know. That's like a play being written nowadays, for theater or movies, right? A script that is filled with dialogues. You mean to tell me none of the dialogues have ever taken a place in anywhere, anytime?
Like, have you seen a Hallmark movie?
Like, that's their whole concept, is that this is original.
Yeah, or
even though it's the most ordinary conversation you've ever heard of.
Yeah, or just like so many movie plots or plots of a play. I mean, they all kind of have a similar,
the overarching message that kind of get out there. It's either similar or sometimes it's the same message, but the way they deliver it is original. Then it's something, I don't know. I always feel like,
and I mean, that goes back into music tells a story as well. I mean, you might be telling the same story just in a different way.
In a different way, exactly. I think that's where we need to just settle it, right? Because, like, you can be completely original, and, creativity is not bound by the originality, necessarily. You can write, like I said, theme and variations. That was, Liszt being creative. He wasn't being original, though. He used other people's music, but he built on that. So I think that's how we need to just perceive creativity and originality in that sense. I don't know. That's my opinion. It's otherwise you get in that depressive episode moment of, am I just not original? Do I not form any original thoughts? But it is, I think we just try. We just need to try to be original as possible, and then call it a day. Never really do much more than that, or do much more than that.
I don't compose or write, so I can't say I've had any similar experiences. But I guess kind of like in a sense of performing, I want to. I guess kind of like goes back to just being authentic and
being
yourself.
Individual.
Yeah.
So the next topic that we're going to cover next time you hear it is that I don't know, like a way to say it is, should there be a standard in music?
Oh, Louis.
Oh, yes.
No.
We're going to have an icy conversation with that too.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because I don't know, now that you've opened that can of worms about being authentic, I don't know. Like, for example, if you play a Chopin Nocturne piece and I play a Chopin Nocturne piece,
it's going to be different.
It's going to be different, but is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, you know? But do you think there are people who are trying to say that this should be like this?
I don't know. I mean, even me performing at my best could still be like someone else's worst performance. You know what I mean? Like, I think it also like comes down to ability.
Yeah, for sure. But that's going to be the next topic that we talk about.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that for you guys.